Your tears are the voice of your heart and soul. Listen, within each drop is contained an infinite ocean of wisdom for you to extrapolate and implement in your journey, and also to impart upon others. This society reveres cruelty, and it condemns and ostracizes affection. It discourages people from being affectionate. That's why their system is built upon war, apathy, violence, and stoicism, because it feeds into the malevolent wavelengths and the frenetic energies of chaos and the nefarious vibrations of evil, because that's what's running this system. That's how they get you to kill your inner child, which is essentially an angel in your heart. That little child in the playground that you once were when you were 7 years old, unfortunately, is assassinated by the system of 9-to-5 grinds, bottom lines, deadlines, PowerPoint presentations, all of that emotionless, unconscionable, inconsequential, egregious vibrations. If you see on the parkways and the freeways and the highways, all of these lifeless individuals, they look like cadavers in their metal coffins, shuttling back and forth to a job that killed their soul years ago. Their inner child is dead and gone. But yours doesn't have to be. No dream ever dies. They simply remain dormant in your imagination, patiently awaiting the power of your intentions to awaken them back to life, to resuscitate them, to revive them, to revitalize them. Don't let the system kill the inner child in your soul and your heart. Don't let them do that to you. You need to get in conscious contact with who you really are and what you're all about. You need to start practicing conscious breathing exercises. Meditate every day. And no, you don't have to meditate in a room with Tibetan singing bowls and sage and incense and crystals and all that. You don't have to do that. That's not what meditation is all about. That's how they sell accoutrement, accessories, gadgets, and gizmos on Etsy and Amazon. That has nothing to do with meditation. If you live in a coastal area, go to the beach. Meditate. Here's something that you could try. From right before sunrise to 20 minutes after, you could stare directly at the sun because there are no UV rays. And conversely, 20 minutes before sunset, until the sun sets, you can stare at the sun again because there is no harmful UV rays. And you will be amazed at the celestial effects that the sun will do to your soul. Stare directly at it. You're going to see the inside of the sun turn dark, and then it's going to have this warbling effect. Then it radiates this fluorescent, almost like a lavender color or a violet color that radiates outward from it. This is the most amazing meditation, especially if you live in a coastal area near the Pacific or the Atlantic or any coastal area, anywhere where there's a beach. Because water is the greatest unifying element that binds the spiritual and the material realms together as one. This is the bridge upon which consciousness merges with matter. That's why we are comprised mainly of water, and so is the earth. The reason the earth is mainly comprised of water is because water is the single unifying element that binds all elements together as one. It is a cohesive, unified interconnectedness that ties us inextricably and invariably to the divinity within ourselves. So therefore, water is a rainbow bridge. It is the limitless fields of flux potential, what is referred to as the in-between or purgatory. It's a bridge upon which the higher vibrations cross over into the lower vibrations. But back to the point I was making about your tears. When you cry, don't be ashamed to cry in public. Don't hide your tears. Don't wipe them away. Don't apologize for any single one of them. They want you to do that because they don't want you to have any emotions. Sensitivity is the only element that allows you to care. If you're desensitized, then you stop caring, and then you become numb to everything around you. That's why they want to make you desensitized. You are essentially exposed to so much violence as a child that you are invariably desensitized by probably the time you're 10 years old. You've been bombarded and inundated with images of just graphic violence and gratuitous, emotionless sex, which is also another form of desensitizing children. That's why video games are what they are. They are designed and created, and they are perpetuated by this cult that runs the physical system. But you don't have to be a part of it. You could be apart from it, not a part of it. It's simple. Just make a conscious choice to see what they're doing to you and see what you are allowing of you in doing something harmful to yourself. If somebody puts a plate of poison in front of you and says, have at it, it's up to you to imbibe it or not. But if you do, that's on you. It's not anybody else. Don't be afraid to smile. Smile because you can. God wants you to be happy. But anyway, don't apologize for any one of your tears. You don't have to fit into what their definition of happiness is, or kindness, or to be liked by them, or validated, or accepted, or approved, or to be embraced by the in crowd. Never debase and prostitute yourself to fit in with people who don't even belong in your life. If everything in your life seems to be falling apart, don't try to hold the pieces together, because the universe is trying to build something new with the pieces that were falling apart. Don't try and hold it together. Let it go. You're going to lose those individuals in your life that you have come to know over the years, because you are going to ascend higher and faster, and you will leave them behind. So let them go, because they do not belong in your new journey, because they're very content where they are, nestled permanently in the darkness, always being afraid to be themselves, being afraid to cry in public, to show their emotions and their feelings, because they think that leaves them vulnerable and susceptible to people in the external that will use that against them. And most people do anyway. It's true. When you expose yourself to someone by telling them your inner feelings and emotions, your thoughts, and your visions and dreams, they use it against you. They always do. They exploit that. They take advantage of that. So in some ways you can't blame people, but don't get locked into that mentality, because then you're imprisoning yourself within the illusionary walls of this madness. And that's not good for anybody, especially yourself. So I'm going to leave you with this message. The reason you've had so much pain in your life, suffering, sorrow, misery, heartbreak, is because from that unimaginable torment arrives the birth of your wisdom. Because after all, from wounds come wisdom. From your worst tragedies arrives your greatest blessings. So everything happens for a reason. So just know that if you find your place in life exactly where you need to be, don't question it. Don't dissect it. Don't pull it apart. Don't try and explore why the magic is happening. Just let it happen. Just let it happen. You don't always need to know everything about everything. Sometimes it's good to have that mysticism, that magic that lurks just beyond the shadows of the unknown. It keeps the imagination going. Computer-generated images desensitized us a long time ago. Movie viewers don't have an imagination anymore. When I was a kid, they never showed you the monster in the movie, because they allowed you to use your imagination, which is the greatest tool of all, to imagine what it was. What's that noise in the forest, or what's lurking under the water? What's that rustling going on in the shadows? It was awesome. Now they show you everything. There's no imagination anymore. That's why Hollywood has no creativity, no imagination, no originality, nothing. They just keep pumping out, superhero movies, remakes, sequels. It's all the same stuff. All these grown adults in super tight jumpsuits and leotards. It's ridiculous. There's no originality anymore. There's no substance to any of that. It's the same story, a different movie. Like, part 19, part 45. The same thing goes on forever. And in all of those movies that you watch and music you listen to and the videos and everything else, you'll find that if you are consciously aware that there are embedded codes in the frequencies of that information that is being streamed to the unconscious levels of your subconscious imagination. And those are dark magic, spells, incantations, curses, witchcraft. And I'm not talking about a witch that flies on a broom. And not all witches are bad. Mostly all of them are good. But there is dark magic and dark arts. To that I speak. Not to the witches that work in the light. Pagans and things like this. Anarchists. These are all what I would call absolutely an asset to the earth and a benefit. But because the system doesn't want you to know your spirituality, they have demonized them. They have vilified them and defamed them to be something they're not. That's why when you hear pagan, you think, oh, evil, witchcraft. No. Pagans are spiritualists, and so are witches. They have the communication and the contact with the divine without any interruption. So therefore, they have to be removed. And what took its place? Religion. But anyway, that's a whole other video right there. But just know that your tears exist for a reason. They are your greatest virtue. God gave them to you for a reason. Use them. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to cry in public. Who cares what anybody thinks? Because as I've said in previous videos, what someone thinks about you is worth less than a pile of dry dog poop. And that's a straight out God's honest truth. Because who cares? Why are you playing this game that you have to be liked by others? It doesn't make any sense at all. What is to be gained by it? To be liked by a bunch of strangers who could care less if you lived or died right in front of their eyes. Really. Think about how crazy it is. But anyway, have a blessed day. Remember, as always, all of your darkness is behind you. Your road ahead is divine. You are always loved and you are never alone. You are always blessed by God because you have been always blessed by God. And you will always be blessed by God. You can never disconnect from source, only yourself. God never abandoned you. Well, sometimes we abandon ourselves. But may peace be with you always.